It's April 15th, and this is the Solid Signal Podcast. Welcome, and to myself, welcome back. I spent the last week in Dallas, Texas, which is about the only thing that I can tell you about the recent at&t Revolution Dealer Expo. Revolution is a show that's been going on for something like 14 years, which has brought together, in the past it was just DirecTV dealers, and now it's all sorts of at&t dealers, to try to get on the same page, make sure that everybody is ready for the coming year. It's a lot of great stuff, and all of it is confidential, and I'm not trying to say that in order to brag. I'm trying to say that because I want to tell you everything that I can tell you, which is, number one, that the show was in Dallas, and number two is that DirecTV is here to stay. It seems like just about every month there's a different rumor, something about satellite television completely coming to a stop, or all of it moving over to streaming, or all of the hardware being discontinued, or some of that stuff. Let me tell you, none of that is true at all, to be honest with you. None of it is true in the least. Satellite TV is here to stay. DirecTV Satellite is still the largest pay TV provider in the world, and that isn't changing. And it still represents the best possible value for entertainment in general. And why do I say that? Well, DirecTV Satellite isn't necessarily the least expensive option, although it can be. If you're a new customer, which I'm guessing no one who listens to this podcast actually is, if you're a new customer, you can get a actually pretty good rate for the first 2 years that not only gives you a ton of satellite stuff and all the free previews that you get along the year and, DVR service and all that stuff, but also you get access to all of those streaming apps. That's how you get that stuff. If you need the TBS app, if you need HBO or the Bravo or Ovation or whatever, that stuff doesn't just happen. That stuff comes to you courtesy of your DirecTV Satellite subscription, or in the case of some unethical folks, someone else's DirecTV Satellite subscription. I never like to see that, but I'll admit that it does happen. You get an awful lot of entertainment with DirecTV Satellite. And right now, if you're listening to this, I think on Monday or Tuesday, you're getting the HBO free preview, which is going to give you access to Game of Thrones and a ton of other stuff. You're also watching the Masters, you're watching great sports, watching more baseball than anybody else, and you watch the Final Four. This is just a lot of entertainment. This is more entertainment, in fact, than I think it's possible to consume in the course of one day. And that's really the message, is that you can fight about, do you need Netflix or Hulu or CBS or whatever? Do you need to add all those streaming things? Well, sure, maybe you do want to and whatever. And a lot of people do that. But it's turning out so that cord cutting, if you do it wrong, is more expensive than traditional cable. What I would do is, if I wanted to be a cord cutter, I'd be one of those guys who kind of planned it out, who'd be like, okay, I'm going to take 2 months of Netflix, and then I'm going to cancel that. I'm going to take 2 months of Hulu, then I'm going to cancel that. And, Prime you kind of get year-round if you're a Prime member. But every one of those things I would just take a month or two at a time and then binge everything I wanted. And when I ran out of stuff to watch, I'd move on to another streaming service. But the wrong way to watch streaming stuff is just to keep paying month and month and month over and over and over again, which is what they encourage you to do with autopay, and I totally get it, but it's not a good value. DirecTV Satellite brings you great television all year round and hundreds of channels of it. The streaming services, start piling them on, and they're just, I can't tell you how many times I've looked at streaming on a Saturday night and just said, there's nothing on streaming stuff, and I end up going back to good old-fashioned satellite TV, where I find the kind of shows that I've always wanted to watch and always liked, in the way that I always wanted to watch them when I was younger, which is to say, live. Also, plus I get a DVR full of stuff that I've already figured out that I like. This is how this works for me. And I can't possibly be the only one, because DirecTV Satellite is still profitable. It's still doing great. It still continues year after year after year to be the best entertainment value. That was the message, I would say, from the Revolution Expo. And if there was one other secondary message, I would just say that it's not just satellite that is a great value. DirecTV is stronger because of its partnership with the other AT&T properties. I'm talking about HBO, Warner Media, CNN, AT&T cell phones, AT&T Internet. It's one big package, and the truth is you can do fantastic in terms of value when you look at all of it. And you don't have to do it that way. You can build a bundle that makes sense for you, but the option is there. It's why it still continues to be the best value in entertainment today. Anyway, I know this was kind of a shill this week, and I don't always like doing those. But, look, I came back from Dallas very excited about the future of satellite. I think it's very easy to be depressed about the future of satellite when all you do is read stuff on other blogs about where it's going. But then to be in the same room with some of these really high-powered individuals, to really listen to what they have to say, honestly, in a closed room full of people who are not going to repeat it, this is where you really begin to understand that they have a plan, that they know what they're doing, and that satisfying customers like you is a big part of it. Anyway, that's about it for me for the podcast this week. I hope that I talk to you all again real soon. And keep reading the Solid Signal blog, blog.solidsignal.com, and leaving comments on this podcast and all the other videos you'll find at youtube.com/solidsignalcom.